Hey, bro, let's kill this honky bitch. Come on, man, you and me, jive turkey.
Let us hope they find peace.
She's here, gamers. Well, she's in early access, anyway. She's been here for a good minute now. You guys know I'm slow about making these things. Anyhow, there's a lot of changes to the formula here. I can honestly say, as of this point, in-depth knowledge of the first darkest dungeon is of almost no help here. The game is just that different. So I want to take you on a little journey through how this game made my pudgy little body feel at release, how it's already changed pretty dramatically, and where I think the peaks and troughs are. I'll be getting into, some mechanics and stuff, but if you're looking for a comprehensive guide, this probably isn't it. And beware of spoilers ahead, just generally. Sorry. So back before this channel was the blooming success that it is now, I made a video on the first darkest dungeon where I spent way too many minutes ranting about how the heroes having no real input or personality, outside of begging for mercy or going insane, was amazing because it left all moral authority to the player. Right? Whether Reynold and Dismas were men or cattle, it was really up to us, and oftentimes it was easier to treat our heroes as disposable on the way to our goal. Anyway, I'm not going to rehash that entire fucking spiel. I only bring it up because, and I hate to do this, but Jesus Christ was I onto something. Because in DD2, the exact opposite is true, and it's the source of all my nightmares. Every single run is either made or broken based on how happy you make your campers and how happy they want to make each other. Rather than a stress mechanic alone, this time we have a stress mechanic that feeds into a relationship mechanic. If your heroes are grumpy, meaning their stress is like 4 out of 10 or higher, they're going to start chewing each other out and whining a lot more often. This, in turn, leads to higher overall stress, knocking relationships into negative territory, and if a hero goes all the way to the tippy top 10 stress, they have a meltdown and destroy their relationships with the entire party. So why does it matter? Because when two people in your crew maybe aren't the best of friends, they actively try to fucking kill each other. Massive debuffs, refusing to give or accept aid, refusing to stand next to one another. This even carries over to the inns, where you would ideally be trying to repair relationships. Yeah, if they're already deep blue, just forget it. You better hope they decide to have some pleasant road banter later. Oh, that reminds me. With stress and synergies being an even bigger deal this time around, you feel that chaotic swing of the RNG hammer even harder. I had a moment, if I'm able to find the footage it'll be on the screen, but I watched my grave robber climb from 5 stress to a practically run-ending meltdown on the fucking coach ride between stops, where there was literally no opportunity to fix her. Yeah, they're not playing around this time. One hero aiding another in battle can improve that relationship, but it has an even better chance to negatively affect the relationship with the heroes you didn't help that turn. You can never completely predict how your heroes are going to react to anything. I feel like the abused sugar daddy in some godless European 5-way. But somehow I love it. Have you guys heard the good news? Accuracy is gone. That must mean Leper is no longer the most tedious character in gaming history, right? Incorrect. Very wrong. Instead, he's getting screwed over by an amazing new addition, the token system. There's a shitload of these things, and it'll be a few runs before you figure them out, but once you're tracking them, it makes for gameplay that's a lot deeper and a bit more involved than DD1, without becoming this inaccessible mess. So, back to Leper, because I think he highlights the system pretty well. You remember the old days where you needed to have another character buff him and then have him use Purge, and then he was finally ready to actually hit something just in time for the hallway fight to be over? Don't worry, they found a way to carry that essential essence right over to the sequel. He has a high chance to start every encounter with a blind token, meaning he has a 50% chance to hit. He also has an ability that can remove this token and have him ready to reliably do some damage next round. And then there is a high percentage chance that he will re-blind himself after every attack. It's just such a leper thing to do. But once you start digging into the skill sets of other characters, they have abilities that can remove it, there's items that can remove blindness as well, and if you're using his pretty great guarding ability so he can tank for the gang, then his immediate ability to deal damage becomes less essential, and if there's more important tokens at play, the team can get to work on those while Leper works himself out. You might be saying, like, hey, these tokens don't sound too different from the buffs and debuffs and effects in the first game. And in a sense, yeah. You'd be surprised just how much the removal of accuracy and the implementation of these tokens that affect damage in different ways will change the way you approach encounters compared to the first game, though. They do a great job of keeping you adaptive and on your toes because they're constantly causing a change in the battle dynamic. I feel like I'm doing kind of a shitty job describing these because, I mean, look at this fucking list. This kind of necessitates a long-form explanation that I don't want to dump on you guys right here. If you want to see like a token breakdown, let me know and maybe I'll do that. There's probably other videos that have already done that and done it better than I can, though. I don't know. What am I even doing here, guys? So you've been looking at gameplay for a few minutes now. You know it looks great, I know it looks great. DD1 has been in my S tier as far as video game aesthetics for years, so I am overjoyed that the shift to 3D not only retains most of what made the first game's visuals so charming and impressive, but improved upon them. Look at the front-facing Plague Doctor. Something about this is fucking cursed. It's wonderful. And I guess this is where I'll shoehorn in my lack of love for how often we're sitting through bark animations, though. I get it, you guys worked hard to make the game look good, but when party relationships aren't doing so hot, which is often, the flow of battle is constantly being broken up so I can watch one of these degenerates whine at the other because they gave Jester the Vaseline that they wanted. I think the little animations we get when the relationships are tested are great, wouldn't change a thing, because they happen sparingly enough that they don't feel like a constant interruption. Compare these battle barks to when the crew bickers on the road. You get to look down, have a nice read, get pissed that Grave Robber is such an insufferable cunt, and then you keep moving. Or hell, even the barks from the first game. They get the point across and are a fun addition without taking me out of my special gamer zone. Anyway, maybe I'm in the minority here and I'm just being whiny. Who knows? The game looks good. So DD2 arrives on the scene, ready to break a few eggs and serve up some cancer. And, oh, hey, it's pretty easy once you look at the skills and figure out that you can always keep stress down by using upgraded Ounce of Prevention and Bolster in tandem. This constantly low stress leads to positive relationships, constant buffs, heals, and positive tokens being tossed about free of charge. I beat the current final boss on both my second and third runs. On the one hand, I was happy that there were consistent strats, and the game being reasonably winnable didn't make it any less engaging to explore its systems, but I guess I was a little underwhelmed. Don't worry, the devs noticed, and they set down the RNG hammer in exchange for the fuck you gun, and before we knew it, keeping stress low was a thing of the past. Ounce of Prevention now requires the target to be at 5 stress or higher before it'll even work, and Bolster is just whack. I like how, for like a week and a half, Jester wasn't the default stress healer and buffing guy that he was always relegated to in DD1, because other characters had it covered better, so you were free to get more experimental with his new utility and have some fun, and then with the first patch he immediately went back to his old post. Sorry, buddy. They also made earning mastery points used for ability upgrades throughout the run less abundant in standard combat encounters, and more abundant in optional region challenges, which feels like a good change, incentivizing that risk v reward scheme that makes runs tense. I'm not gonna go down the latest patch notes with you guys, because the game is gonna be changing constantly over the next couple years, I imagine. But in summation, they made the game tougher. You guys remember those little comic panels we got for the heroes in DD1? Right, they were these somber little tales that let us know what might drive a person into accepting indentured servitude just for the slightest opportunity to get thrown up on by a pigman. Well, those have gotten a fantastic upgrade here in the form of Shrines of Reflection. Each hero has a 5-chapter story letting you know specifically what's wrong in their brain. They're tied into the gameplay in a pretty conventional way. Every chapter you play through gives that hero a new ability and gives the party a mastery point to cash in at the end. The theme here is like confronting past failures and pushing on or whatever. If I had to take a shot in the dark, I'd say the final bosses are all going to be representations of the stages of grief or something. I don't know. I don't read. Our overarching mission is also, while functionally the same, get stronger and abolish the Lovecraftian evil laying siege to the world, given new scope and new narration. Wayne June obviously returns as the voice of depression, but he's less of a dick this time around, because now he's the ghost of some professor, and you're an old student, and somehow it's on you guys to save the world. What became of the Hamlet, and if we still have any connection to it, is yet to be revealed, but all in all, I really like the direction this has gone. So there's definitely a ton of stuff I didn't mention or go into depth about here. Right, seeing as how the game's in early access, I decided against attempting some massive, comprehensive analysis that would be made outdated within a few patches anyway, and I wanted to do a more generalized little peek instead. I'm probably going to be playing this somewhat consistently up to and beyond launch, so if you guys are interested in more DD2 content of any sort, please let me know. Alright, I'll talk to you guys later.